Okay, I want to just record this as I'm working on it because I broke through a problem, a big problem, that was costing me lots of money unnecessarily and time with Cline. And it was probably causing a problem with Aider and Windsurf and Cursor also. But I was using Cline more. So I just want to describe the problem that I was having uh, and how I fixed it because it's not the simplest thing, and but it is definitely something that will ring up a tab, um, and I want to avoid it. So want you to avoid it too. Um, so right here, I am fixing. I had 250 linting problems. I'm now down to 80 linting problems. That's why I'm recording this. Maybe I should have started at the beginning or something like that. But it's cost me about $2.34 to reduce the linting problems by about 180, and with very little input from me. I think I might have spent 50 cents or something in a separate discussion with Klein. But so the process works pretty well in Klein for just linting. But the thing you have to make sure that you are doing is you have to make sure you are using the correct test environment. So if there are any problems with your test environment, and long story short, I was using Jest for testing, but this is a Vite project, and Vite works better with Vitest. Now I asked the I looked around a bit before, and it said Jest is the sort of de facto. I figure, hey, I'm using AI. I can jump into a new environment uh, stack. So I go, I'm going to do it in React. So I'm a little bit new to React, and probably about 6 months or something. Um, and I asked the AIs for opinions on test stacks, and they were saying, well, Jest is kind of the de facto one for JavaScript for Node and stuff like that. And this is a Node React TypeScript project, and it has some dependencies which are CommonJS and some which are ES modules, slightly further complicating things. Well, Vitest works very, very well. I haven't seen any problems with that. Whereas just trying to hand code your TS config uh, doesn't work well, especially with Jest. I mean, I just had innumerable problems. So if you have a working, if you have a dialed in test environment, test framework, and remove the junk plugins from VS Code, the junk like Jest plugins. Not to say Jest is junk or that the plugins themselves were junk, but they basically cost me, I don't know, $50 or more, and probably lots of time because of the difficulty of working with Jest in a TypeScript node project with React, with ES modules, and CommonJS dependencies. So that definitely cost me cold hard cash in a non trivial amount because I'm basically underestimating when I say $50. It, I think this, cycling. So in any of these environments, Cline, Aider, Cursor, or uh, the other one, Windsurf, um, it will loop back and forth. It will try to edit the TS config or your package.json. It'll reinstall things. It'll do any number of sort of, and it looks like psychopathy. It looks like pathology would probably be a better term, but it'll loop. It'll get stuck in this weird psycho loop that it is hard to get the thing to get out of because it doesn't know how, unfortunately this probably happens with coders when they are using when they're trying to get the TS config working, but it'll just flip back and forth. And it's also a little hard to spot because it could be a couple of commits apart where it's where it's jumping back and going, okay, I need to edit TS config this way because of this error that I'm getting. So I think, looking at how much better this is working, just having the right test framework, it's a dollars and cents kind of problem. I mean, look at the cost here, $2.42 for 250 linting problems. And I'm just down to the linting problems. I'm just cleaning up after I already got through lots of test problems. So this is just the cleanup phase where I'm kind of a little bit on cruise control with editing, um, editing, letting Cline edit these while I'm talking to you, just because the first half of this linting worked really well. I don't think I've seen any problems. It is chewing up a bit of CPU, though, making my mouse less than responsive. But if I look here, many linting errors. I squashed these, and it's got about, I don't know how many files that is. Hopefully I'm not screwing up the edit. I think I may have goofed the edit a little bit there. So I might have to jump back. I think, okay, there we go. So, see, does that tell me how many? 32 files. 32 files edited. This started 6 hours ago. I think there's something in addition to linting going on in that commit. So it's I'd probably say double the amount of what this conversation with Cline has charged me. Is probably like $5 by now, which is pretty cheap for being able to just kind of cruise along and let it do the linting. This is only possible So I think it's going to catch this right now. I'm kind of betting. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe I can, let's see, that's tutorial manager. I could probably move each of these up without tutorial manager just to make sure that that this last one doesn't blindly get checked in. Um, but it's a pretty good price, $5 to fix all of that. And this is where I'm really, I've got tests in here, specify, really controlling user behavior and stuff, uh, dialing in the usability of the application. And Cline has been able to really help me with that. Uh, Better than Windsurfer, better than Cursor, has better access to. So I'm using Haiku, by the way. This is the October 22nd haiku. So it's the finest haikus. Um, but it's the cheaper model. I'm not using Sonnet. So that's another reason it's working well. Like if I was doing this with Sonnet, this probably would have cost 3 times as much, even this one conversation. Maybe it would have fixed things faster because I did tell Klein, Klein, in the original instructions, fix one file at a time. Now, maybe I could have spelled that out a little better, a little more verbosely, but it has not chosen to do one file at a time. It chose to do, it says, like, first I'm going to fix any invalid use of any, and then I'm going to cycle back to console references to console. And so it's gone through it's probably doing like 2 cycles of the files. And I think that is slower, but it might be a more accurate result. So I don't know exactly how much cheaper this is, being that it may have cycled twice. It's really hard to tell. I'd probably have to I'd probably have to go back with Git, go back, branch the earlier before linting, and then try it with Sonnet to find out which one is cheaper. I have been saving all my conversations, so I might be able to do that, my conversations with Cline. So I might be able to do that, but I think like Haiku for a simpler task like this is pretty good. But the main takeaway, the main key is having the appropriate linting uh, library. Linting, I'm sorry, test framework installed, and linting, anything like that, that you can improve those tools. Just like for you as a coder, you want the best version of those tools so that you can run tests easy. Like I was not able to run tests easy. I had stopped testing on every commit and check in, or things like that. I stopped CI/CD tool, processes, because testings were invalid. So definitely having the right test framework is always a big issue, is always very cost effective. Having the right test framework set up properly so that your CI/CD works perfectly is always uh, cost effective to get that dialed in, but particularly with AI, because this is how you communicate with your coding buddy, and how it communicates with the code. This is how the AI finds problems in the code without having to read all the code. It uses the work of previous coders to find code smells. And probably I could probably go through here and tweak my ESLint RC and get the get you know like optimize my code uh, syntax, or code smells issues. I could probably refine that, uh, you know, but and probably get extra mileage out of that. That's and I think I've been talking to AI developers recently, and they the way AI is going for coders is it's making coding more an issue of writing specs and then using all kinds of tools to auto build, auto generate the code to the spec. Even if it's you or a automated Turk, or a Fiverr person um, writing the code, writing the spec is becoming like the manager of coding. You're putting yourself in the position of greater power by writing better specs dialed into the project. Um, and that's becoming hugely important with AI. So I'm just going to continue with this. I might put a summary in the description after I post this, but I just wanted to get some notes while I was stepping through the process. And it looks like I'm down to 2 errors, 74 warnings. It's slow going, but it's under $3, or let's say it's $6 by now, that I paid for cleaning up all these, and it's like a bunch of them I could clean up using the tool, like cleaning out unused variables and things like that, which I did. But going in there, that it takes time. And the any converting any, or the dependencies inside of use effects and uh, other dependencies in React component or effect, whatever those effect oriented um, code blocks are. There's probably one right here. No. But removing all those, that was a bit tedious. I did some of it by hand, and then just thought, let me just have Cline and uh, and Anthropic do this for me. And I did try a couple other models like Quen on OpenRouter, Quen Coder, and I tried uh, Open Open OpenAI. I tried O1 preview, and um, it was both of those were somewhat useless. Quen Coder actually started out looking better, but then just started putting HTML into my JavaScript, into my TypeScript files, and it was not JSX. I don't even think it was a JSX file, but it just started hallucinating or whatever, throwing stuff in there. Who knows where it got it? I had to pull the plug on that. It did like 3 files fine, and then it just started spitting junk into the additional files. That's why I started checking in That's why I said I told it to do one file at a time here, and that type of thing. In when I went flipped back to Anthropic is because I had some bad experiences with the other models. In any case, I'll put a summary when I post this video. Thanks for listening. Hope this